Hi class, it's Tamika DeBruce. I'm coming to you guys from Columbia, South Carolina, and today I'll be talking about Chapter 17, Digital Image and Photography. Hopefully you've already got your PowerPoint pulled up and we can go ahead and get started. So slide 2, what is digital image? A digital image is actually a numeric representation of a two-dimensional image with a finite set of digital values. Those digital values are just called pixels in plain terms. Digital imaging in photography has become the most popular visual communication medium. And it's not only consisting of pictures, it also consists of x-rays, geographical satellite images, scan documents, take a PDF and transform it into a Word document. All that is considered to be data, and the data can be scanned, manipulated, disseminated, tracked, and stored in digital format. And all of that is what comprises a digital image. Next slide. So let's talk a little bit about photos. The first photo ever taken was by Joseph Niepce. It was an image from his window. He placed a metal plate coated with bitumen, which is a black petroleum mixture, also used for roofing and road surfacing, known to us in layman's terms as tar. He placed it inside of a camera obscura, which camera obscura is Latin for dark room, and it took about 8 hours of being exposed to sunlight in order to process and create an image on the plate. And that was the creation of the first photo. Next slide. Speaking of photos, my children are 20 and 21 years old. All they do is carry their cell phones around and take selfies. And they really believe that their generation created selfies. Well, actually, the first selfie was actually taken a few years after the first photo by Robert Cornelius in 1839. He did this by placing his camera on a tripod and taking the lens cap off, running around directly in front of the frame, and he sat there for 5 minutes, and then he went back and replaced the lens cap. He also processed it by using what's called the daguerreotype process, and that's employing an iodine sensitized silver plate and mercury. And it didn't take 8 hours to process. However, it did take quite a bit longer than it does take today. Next slide. So we're going to talk a little bit about cameras. A little bit about cameras is the camera's primary focus is to take information from its image sensor, process it, and store it. This is the process that we know of as taking a photo, basically. So in 1975, the first digital camera was patented. It was a huge piece of equipment. It was about the size of a large toaster, and it weighed approximately 9 pounds. It took the images and stored it on a cassette tape, and the images were stored at 0.01 megapixels. And to get an idea of how that would look, take a picture from your cell phone and enlarge it to the maximum, and the blurriness and how you can't really tell what it is, that's about the equivalence of 0.01 megapixels. All right, next slide, please. So we're going to talk a little bit about the camera timeline and just a few of the inventions of cameras over the years. In 1981, it was the Sony Mavica, and Mavica was short for magnetic video camera. And this was more of a still image recorder, and it saved the images on a floppy disk, where the floppy disk could be taken from the camera and placed into a computer and either, manipulated, stretched out, shortened, whatever, to try and kind of make a film out of. The next one to come was the Canon RC701, and that was in 1986. And the RC stood for real-time camera, and this was more of like an upgrade to the first digital camera. And the Canon RC701 was actually the first commercially marketed digital camera, and it recorded up to 10 frames per second, which was a lot better, again, than the first Sony Mavica. So in 1991, we had the Kodak DCS, or digital camera system, And this was also a digital single lens reflex camera. When you think of DSLR cameras, it's the ones that we usually see today when you see photographers out taking photos with the big cameras. Those are DSLR. So in 1991, Kodak came out with the first DSLR camera. In 99, Nikon created the D1, and it had a 2.7 megapixel sensor, which means the photo images were of a better resolution than the prior cameras that had been invented. In 2000, something that we're all familiar about, the world's first camera phone. It was a Sharp J SH04, and it had a 110,000 megapixel solution, but it was only available in China. So we had to actually wait here in America until the year 2002 for the release of the Sanyo SCP-5300. In 2007, Samsung created the first 5 megapixel camera, the G800, and it also came with a 3-time zoom feature. So we fast forward to today, and we think of the camera phones that we've had and how they advertise camera phones, new phones, and they specifically sometimes speak of the great camera quality, the megapixel of the camera, the megapixel of the resolution. Well, I have the iPhone 10, and I also have the Android S8, and those both have high camera resolution. Okay, next slide. So next we're going to talk about pixels and megapixels. So pixels are actually the basic building blocks of an image, and 1 million pixels is what make up megapixels. And all digital images have a fixed number of arranged pixels in rows and in columns. For example, if you have 2048 pixels wide times 1536 pixels high, that gives you over 3 million pixels, or 3.1 megapixels. The amount of pixels in an image determines the resolution of the picture that you're taking. Each pixel holds a brightness value and color, and the colors are usually green, black, yellow, blue, the same as most of your TVs today. So some people wonder if having more megapixels makes a better photo when deciding to choose a smartphone, or mostly a smartphone. But it may and it may not. There are also things that you have to consider, such as the quality of the sensor, the quality of the lens, the ability to take photos in low light condition. So if you have all that and it's pretty good and it has a high megapixel resolution, then that's actually a plus. Next slide, please. All right, I spoke earlier about photo editing and photo editing software. With photo editing software, you can take a photo and you can edit it and make yourself look completely different. You can remove blemishes from your face. You can make your waistline slimmer. There's so many different things that you could do with a photo editing app. The most popular photo editing app that we're all probably familiar with and have heard of at one point or another is Photoshop. Another one is Adobe Lightroom, and it's becoming more popular, but it's actually more popular among the more advanced photo editors, and they use that when Photoshop isn't available. So it's like the alternative to Photoshop. Another one is Paint Shop, and Paint Shop sometimes comes pre-installed on some computers, either Paint Shop or Paint Pro or Paintbrush or something of that nature. If you have a Windows computer, there are pre-installed photo editing softwares that are already there. And as always, you can download many, many more. Some are free. Most are free, but you don't get the actual full benefit of everything that the app can do unless you download and pay for, the app. So Next slide. Also, when it comes to in-app photo editing, there are programs inside of Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, where you can use filters. You can change your face into someone else's face. You can put a fish head on your head. You can make it look like you're swimming underwater. The possibilities in some of these apps and this photo editing software is limitless. So next slide, please. So my question for you all today is, how has the digital imaging and photography process over the years impacted your life, either personally or professionally? I know for myself, I use personally, just editing in app, making filters on Snapchat and Facebook and things of that nature. Nothing too serious. Professionally, I have to scan a lot of documents and change a lot of operation orders, copy and paste, that type of thing. All that involves digital imaging. So it would work for the creation of digital image and photography. I would probably be bored at work, bored at home, but I would like to know what you all think and how it has affected you. So this concludes my presentation, and I hope that you all have a better understanding now of digital image and photography, and I hope you all have a blessed week. Bye-bye.